Welcome to AI Brief, episode 284. We're launching a deep dive today, and it feels like we're tracking a really big shift. AI seems to be moving, well, out of the apps on your phone and digging deep into the foundations of industry. But before we get to the heavy stuff, you just have to notice the weirdness happening right now, like that Waymo robotaxi getting pulled over by police in California for an illegal U-turn. Talk about a legal gray zone. The lawyers must be thrilled.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely a bit wild out there. But hey, that's why we're here, right? To cut through that noise, our mission today for this deep dive is really about these foundational industrial level breakthroughs. We've got three main things to unpack. First, this is a big team up between Fujitsu and Nvidia. They're building AI agents specifically for different industries. Second, there's a European breakthrough with something called the TildeOpen LLM. It's all about digital sovereignty over there. And third, we're looking at Princeton. They've got this really smart AI, diag to diag, solving a huge problem for fusion power, stability. And then, yeah, we'll wrap up with what else is new in robotics and some useful productivity tools.
Okay, let's start with that Fujitsu and Nvidia collaboration. It really does feel like more than just another tech deal. They're actually building a full-stack AI infrastructure. So Fujitsu CPUs combined with Nvidia's GPUs.
Yeah.
But the key thing, it seems, is what they're building it for. Custom autonomous AI agents, right?
Yeah.
For very specific sectors, healthcare, manufacturing, robotics too.
Yeah, that's the core idea. It's this shift away from AI models trained on just tons of general data towards systems that understand the actual physics of, say, a factory floor, or what's happening at a molecular level in drug discovery. These generic LLMs are great, but for industrial efficiency, you need something bespoke. This whole platform is designed for those sector-specific agents. You need that kind of focus for optimizing real-world stuff. And they've already got Yaskawa Electric, the robot maker, involved in pilot projects.
Okay, I get the application. It makes sense.
Okay.
But they're talking about the full infrastructure being ready by 2030. Pilots start in 2025, sure, but
Yeah.
2030, isn't that, well, kind of slow, especially when you've got companies moving so fast just on the software side in the cloud.
That's a fair point. It does sound like a long timeline, but that 2030 target, I think it reflects just how fundamental this is. This isn't just like a software update. It's an integrated hardware stack built for high performance, low latency, right inside specific company systems. So by committing to this deep hardware integration now using specialized CPUs and GPUs, Fujitsu is basically betting long term. They're positioning themselves to be a core provider for, well, the next phase of the AI-driven industrial economy, where custom hardware might actually be essential for getting those efficiency gains. It's about vertical control, maybe not just platform speed.
Okay, that does change the perspective. Interesting. So moving from industrial hardware to digital sovereignty, Europe's made a move with this TildeOpen LLM, a 30 billion parameter model, open source, trained on that big EU supercomputer, LUMI. So the question is why? Why build a new 30 billion parameter model when you've got giants like GPT-4 or Claude out there, and they're even bigger?
Right, why reinvent the wheel, essentially? But there are a couple of big reasons. First is multilingual capability, and second is that digital sovereignty point. Think about the EU market. It's incredibly diverse linguistically. You've got 24 official languages, plus others like Ukrainian, Norwegian, global models. They often struggle to provide really high-quality, nuanced support across all of those. TildeOpen is specifically designed to hit state-of-the-art accuracy across that whole range. And crucially, it's built to be efficient. Smaller footprint, faster inference times, lower compute costs compared to some of the bigger global models.
So it's not just about covering the languages, it's about doing it efficiently and cost-effectively for that specific, complex European context.
Exactly. And it ties into the regulatory side, too. This model was developed specifically with the European AI Act in mind. All the data processing, the training, it all stays within the EU's infrastructure. So for European companies, it offers a legally sound regulated foundation. It boosts that digital sovereignty, gives them a powerful tool without the potential legal headaches or data security worries of relying entirely on providers based elsewhere under different rules. It's really an investment in their own economic resilience,
Yeah.
Less dependence on outside tech powers.
That's a really interesting trade-off, giving up maybe maximum scale for maximum legal certainty and language coverage.
Which makes sense.
Okay, let's pivot now. From the complexities of language models and regulations to something with, well, arguably even higher stakes, creating clean, limitless energy. Princeton's DIAG AI. You mentioned it's designed to tackle one of fusion power's biggest challenges, keeping that super hot plasma stable inside the reactor.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating here is how the AI is solving a problem that's been incredibly tough for physical science alone. The main issue is something called edge-localized modes, or ELMs. You can think of the plasma, the fusion fuel, like this incredibly hot, unstable bubble. ELMs are basically these sudden, violent bursts of energy like plasma hiccups that can damage or even destroy the reactor walls over time. To control them, you need incredibly detailed, real-time information about what's happening right at the edge of that plasma.
But getting that data usually needs really complex, maybe fragile sensors, doesn't it?
That's the problem. Physical diagnostic tools, like Thomson scattering systems, are super complex and very expensive. So what Diag2Diag does is it generates synthetic diagnostic data. Highly detailed data. It takes input from simpler existing sensors and effectively synthesizes the missing high-resolution information. It lets researchers see things at the plasma edge that they couldn't easily or affordably measure directly, gives them this kind of super-resolution insight.
So it's like AI filling in the observational gaps. You don't need quite as many of those super expensive physical sensors because the AI can infer the data.
That's the core benefit, yeah. It could significantly cut down on the number of physical diagnostics needed for future reactors, which means lower building costs, lower operational risk. And by providing the data needed to test theories about controlling these ELMs, like this thing called the magnetic island theory, and just generally improving stability, Diag2Diag could genuinely speed up the whole process of getting to commercially viable fusion power. Less downtime, cheaper construction, better reliability. That's the goal.
Wow, that really is groundbreaking. Taking AI from, I don't know, writing marketing emails to literally helping keep a miniature star stable inside a machine.
It really underscores that the next big wave of AI impact feels deeply scientific, deeply industrial.
Okay, let's shift gears into our final segment. We'll look at what's happening in robotics and some practical AI tools you can actually use. Starting back with delivery bots. DoorDash just showed off Dot. It's their first standalone autonomous delivery robot. They're testing it in Phoenix now. Carries up to 30 pounds, apparently. But the feature they're really pushing is this smart scale thing.
Yeah, the smart scale is interesting because it directly tackles a huge pain point for the whole delivery industry. Missing items from orders. DoorDash is claiming this feature. It weighs the contents before the bot seals up, and Leaves could cut those missing item complaints by something like 30%. So it's not just about the robot moving stuff, it's using a specific bit of tech to try and fix a nagging consumer trust problem.
And fixing problems, particularly software problems, seems like a theme. Meta just talked about their robotic strategy. They're backing away from building the hardware themselves, right? Kind of the opposite of what we discussed with Fujitsu maybe doing with their stack.
It is a really interesting contrast, isn't it? Meta's saying their focus is purely on the really hard software challenges. Specifically, they mention dexterous manipulation, basically, getting robots to have fine motor control, to handle objects skillfully in the real world. That's super complex, so their plan, license the software platform they developed to companies that do build the hardware. They want to be like, the Android operating system, but for robotics. They're betting that the AI brain, the generalized software, is the most valuable part, and they can leave the expensive hardware manufacturing to others.
That's a big bet, decoupling the AI brain from the robot body, essentially. Okay, one more on the hardware front, and this one sounds pretty wild. A breakthrough out of Australia, a massive six-legged spider-like robot. And the claim is this thing can 3D print a whole 200 square meter house in less than 24 hours.
The speed is definitely attention-grabbing, but the method is also really notable. It apparently uses readily available earthen materials, just local dirt and sediment, and packs it into fabric tubes layer by layer, so potentially much cheaper, more sustainable construction using local resources. And yeah, the researchers are even talking about using it for off-world construction, like on the moon, using lunar soil to build habitats quickly. Pretty cool potential there.
Amazing stuff. Okay, finally, let's quickly run through some practical AI tools, things that use these powerful models to help you, the listener, boost your own productivity.
Right. If you're looking to bring some AI into your daily workflow, here are 4 worth knowing about. First up is Smartlead. This isn't your average email blaster. It uses AI to help craft really personalized, creative emails for outreach, aiming to turn cold contacts into actual revenue. Second, there's Findr. Think of it as an AI assistant for your team. It helps you quickly find information that might be scattered across all sorts of different workplace apps, Slack, Google Drive, whatever. Cuts down search time. Third is Wordtune. This is an AI writing assistant. It goes beyond basic grammar checks to help you paraphrase sentences, rewrite things for clarity, or change the tone of your writing. Really useful for communication. And lastly, BeeDone. This one uses gamification, turning tasks into games powered by AI to help you stick to routines and build habits. turns your daily grind into little wins.
That's quite a stack of insights for one deep dive. Looking across everything we've talked about, from Fujitsu and Nvidia building those sector-specific agents, to Europe's TildeOpen LLM securing digital sovereignty, to Princeton's AI synthesizing data for fusion, the overall message seems pretty clear.
I think so too. The really big game-changing impact of AI, it feels like it's undeniably shifting, moving past the novelty of, consumer chatbots and interfaces and embedding itself firmly into that deep, complex industrial and scientific infrastructure. These are the systems that are going to underpin economies, energy, maybe even geopolitical tech advantages going forward.
So here's a final thought for you to mull over. If the cutting edge of AI, the foundational stuff, is shifting so heavily into specialized industrial use and high-stakes science, what does that really mean for the future of the more generic consumer-facing models? Are the biggest breakthroughs, the biggest returns, now going to be locked behind industrial doors, leaving the consumer market mostly focused on optimizing, smaller parts of daily life? Something to think about.
Definitely a key question we'll keep tracking. Look, if you found this deep dive valuable, please follow AI Brief. You won't miss our next shortcut to getting up to speed. And please do share this with anyone you think needs to understand these major shifts happening in the world of industrial and scientific AI.